Perfect.
Now I was going to look at you, by the way.
That works. I'll stand here then.
I'm Alan Macnaughton. I'm Vice President of the Toronto Entomology Association, a person who's been fond of bugs for, I guess, since I was 12, possibly. Career was an accounting professor, but that's for another video.
What got you interested in moths?
There's the diversity. I started out in butterflies, and a friend introduced me to them, but there were only 30 kinds of butterflies you could reasonably find in our area, but there were more than 1,000 kinds of moths, many of which you could even find in your backyard. So it was more of a challenge, more fun to see something new all the time. I guess I started with raising silk moths before I even got to attracting the adults to light. The silk moth caterpillars are as big as your thumb and eat all the time. They're just fun to watch.
What's the typical life cycle of a moth?
This kind of insect has the 4 stages. The egg hatches, becomes a caterpillar, goes through skin molts, usually 5 skin molts, forms a pupa, possibly with a cocoon around it. Often that makes it through the winter. Then the adult emerges in the spring, lays eggs, and we're ready for another annual cycle. Of course, some of the smaller moths especially have a much faster cycle, might go from egg to adult within a month and multiple generations a year, but they're always the 4 stages.
Are moths cold or warm-blooded?
They're all cold-blooded. There are many moths that heat up by rapid wind beats, sort of like shivering, and they get to human body temperature, quite possibly. It varies so much from species, but it is common that moths at rest might not be able to fly immediately.
What does it take to observe moths?
Usually you need to be out in the country with some sort of light, perhaps with a light trap where you leave the light with a trap attached all night, go investigate in the morning and take pictures and then release them. That's typically what I do. I'm not much of a person who, I'm not want to stay up till 1 or 2 in the morning beside a light.
And what different types of traps are used and how do they work?
Well, there's about 3 different kinds of traps. The most common kind of trap is a light trap. So here I have at my feet a trap from Britain. The light source here is from Germany. It's an LED with green, white, and blue ultraviolet LEDs to match the different parts of the moth's eye that are sensitive to light. The trap the light just sits just above the funnel here, and it's powered by a battery, which just a regular phone charge battery. It will run through the whole night, it sits just above the funnel. The moths fly in here, come hit one of these little panels next to the light, and go down into the trap. So then inside the trap, so this is the light, this is the funnel. They go down, and then inside the trap are egg cartons. Just full of egg cartons that are stacked to create a lot of surface area that the moths can land on. And then in the morning you open the trap, and a lot of the moths fly out immediately. There's always a few that get away, but hopefully most of them will rest comfortably if you get there soon after dawn and take pictures for the different species that are attracted, and I post them on an iNaturalist website for all the insect fanciers who want to know, and scientists who want to know what moths are found in each area. And I will do maybe 50 or 60 species a night from this trap. So that's the approach. So yeah. There's also bait traps too, where there are some moths, some families of moths, especially called the underwings, that are attracted to like bananas, rotting bananas. Okay, so here's another kind of trap. So this is the bait trap. The bait here is a banana. This one is kind of green and not nearly mature enough. We need one that's decomposing and at its most aromatic. So this would be take another 3-4 weeks before it became good moth fodder. But the idea here is that this is a you put here's the trap. You put the banana in a tray below the trap, just hanging slightly below it. The moths are attracted to the food source. They fly when they finish feeding. They fly up. You can see there's a funnel inside the trap, so they would fly up the funnel through the narrow circle part here, and then into this bigger area of netting where they will stay until the morning. Theoretically, they could fly back out, but most of them are not nearly smart enough to do that. If you leave them too long in the morning, though, they become agitated and will start to flap and fly every which way, and then a bunch of them do leave. So it's best to try this the hour after dawn. If you are looking for a particular species and it has an economic impact, it's a pest, often you can buy traps which impregnated with a pheromone, where the male will be attracted to the odor that a female would normally release. You get those for clothes moths, for example, or many of the pest species, but there are only a few of those. I mean, most of the moths are not pest species at all, so pheromones are not available. So there's the sort of three kinds of traps: the pheromone traps, the light traps, and the bait traps. I haven't really done the pheromone traps very much, but someday.
And finally, what's something you wish people understood about moths or knew about moths?
Oh, well, they're not all pests. Okay, people think of moths, and clothes moths have got the most attention. Things that eat into fruit, caterpillars eat into fruit, are also got a lot of attention. But there may be 30-40 species that are pests, and there's more than 3,000 species in Ontario who just eat the odd leaf here or there, not all that common, and nobody would consider it to be doing economic damage to crops. They just eat, they're just part of nature, and the caterpillars are excellent food for birds if you're a bird fancier. Moths and butterflies are together, or an order of insects called Lepidoptera, and the moths are a set of families of within the Lepidoptera group that are not butterflies. So butterflies are uniquely defined, but moths are sort of everything that's not a butterfly that's part of the order of Lepidoptera is a moth. It's a complicated answer.